Right, in a recent survey, 62% of respondents reported experiencing some sort of anxiety. Anxiety is so bad that whenever you see someone on the street, the next person you're going to see probably has a lot of anxiety. In this video, we will use the ancient wisdom of Stoicism to practically combat this issue. This is not like any other video. We're going to use real-life examples of people from Reddit who are experiencing anxiety, and we're going to see how to go from that to a happy ending. Well, of course, not a happy ending you might be wishing for, but a joyful feeling in your heart. By the end of the video, you should be able to apply these tips to your life to overcome these issues. So, how shall Stoicism help us achieve this happy ending? Well, that takes us into the world of Epictetus, who was one of the founders of Stoicism. Epictetus says it's not events that disturb us, but our opinions about these events that disturb us. Think about Halloween. When children see those scary masks, they run away, they get frightened because they have an impression that these masks are scary and they just do not know better. In the same way, we adults are just bigger children, and then we see external events like bad things in the world. And since we're not accustomed, we're going to form a wrong impression about those things, and that is going to make our life difficult. If we want to live a life rid of anxiety, we have to be able to strip these masks of these external things in life. But how do we strip off these masks? Let us think of anything that scares us or makes us have anxiety as something with a mask that we're just not accustomed to. And once we become accustomed to it, we shall see that there's nothing scary behind it. But that is a theory. Now, to be practical, there are 3 steps. First, we must know the theory so that we can have the right impression about that mask that we see. Second, since we are not used to it, we need to constantly practice and get exposure to this mask until we can strip it off. Then the third step is consistency. While we're on our path to mastery, which almost never happens, we need to constantly be practicing so that we're not scared by these masks the next time we see them. Now let's go back to the theory. This is the most important part of the video, and you have to understand this if this is going to work for you. Think of a dog. What is the most important thing that a dog does? What is its most powerful asset? It is the power of smell and running. A cheetah, the most powerful asset it has is running and then hunting. Now for humans, we also have the most powerful asset that we have, and that is our faculty of reason, and this is what we have to improve and perfect if we're going to live the best life. Well, the good thing that the faculty of reason is that this is the only thing that nobody has control over. If you're unlucky, and I hope this doesn't happen to you, but if thieves were to come and hold you at gunpoint, they cannot tell you that color blue is yellow. Think of gold. Does gold tell us it's beautiful? No, the gold itself doesn't tell us, but it's our faculty of reason that has the capacity to deal with this and then tells us, oh, this is a beautiful object. So you can see that this faculty of reason, no one has control over it but us. This is probably not new information, but there's one bad thing about reason. And what is that? The problem is that reason and our minds are the only things that we do have control over in life. People don't have control over it, but also it's the only thing that we have control over. Our bodies are not in our control. You know, we can just be kidnapped, we can be forced to do stuff that we don't want to do. That is not in our control. And our family members are not in our control. They can be nice to us, they can be bad to us, they can approve of us, they can disapprove of us. We don't have control over that. We only have control over our reason. Think of our mind as a glass of water. When the water is very clear, you can see the light passing through very easily. But when you shake the water, then the light rays are all distracted and they just move all over the place. That's the same thing with the mind. If we pay good attention to our mind, we'll never be hindered, we'll never be obstructed, we will never groan, we will never complain about life, and we'll never flatter anyone. We'll never find fault with anyone. Of course, this is easier said than done, but the reason why we have a lot of anxiety is because we stop applying our powers to what we have control over, and then we devote ourselves and attach ourselves to other things which we don't have control over. We attach ourselves to our possessions, to our brothers, to our friends, to our children, to our money. And so being attached to these things, this drags us down and makes us anxious all of the time. Of course, this is easier said than done, and of course we might never become perfect. But when we get closer to the mastery, our lives are more joyful. So to achieve joy and get rid of anxiety, Stoicism teaches us to make the best of what lies in our power, and that is our mind, and then deal with everything else as it comes. And how will everything else come? As nature pertains it to come. We don't have control over that. But you should not leave this video yet, because you've just done the easy part. Now that is very easy theory, I can go read and tell my friends about everything that I've learned about the faculty of reason. But the hardest part is practice. We need to practice to become better. When you go to a bodybuilding show, you're not interested in the bodybuilder showing you the weights that he was using to practice. You're like, hey man, do not show me your weights. Show me what you have done with those weights. Show me the muscles that have come from those weights. And I want you to build this muscle. The first part of the video was nothing. Okay, so now let's just go through a few examples of anxious people on Reddit, and maybe that may help. Alright, the first example, the person has a fear of making other people uncomfortable. What does he have power over? He has power over his mind. Does he have power over these other people? No. So what can he do? He should do his best to act in a friendly and respectable manner to these people. And if they still don't like it, that's out of his power, but he has done his best. So he should educate himself on how to treat people well. But if they don't appreciate him, that is not his fault. If they have bad impressions and they're in the wrong, then why does he care? If they're a good and wise man and also they disapprove of him, then that means that he is doing something wrong, and then he shouldn't feel bad. He should just go back to study and learn how to make them comfortable. Anyway, next. Okay, this one is scared and anxious because they're always thinking about their parents' death, and then they get extremely depressed. What do they have power over? Their mind. So what should they learn to do to try to get over this depression, because they're fact that they have no power of their parents? I don't want my parents to die, and I used to have this fear. It's not like these people are some special people and they have a special thinking process. I also used to have these fears of like, oh, I hope my mom is still alive when she was coming back late when I was a kid. But she actually never died. But I wasted a lot of time being scared. A very good example. This one is saying the older I get, the more anxiety I experience. Originally, I thought it was the other way around. Now, this is a very good lesson for you who is watching this video, because the problem with these issues is that no one is going to give us a great character. A great character does not come from anywhere. Age does not solve. If you grow old, you don't become wiser. You just have lived longer. These things you have to practice and become better. Experience might help, but sometimes you're not lucky to get those experiences that teach us to do the right thing. Next, try to reach out to an old friend and got ghosted. Of course, this is very sad. No one wants to be ghosted. But hey, it goes back to, what do you have control over? You have control over your mind, Don't be affected by people who have ghosted you. Have they ghosted you because, they're bad friends? Then why are you scared? Maybe they just don't like you, and maybe they were. You did something wrong to them. Then you should just forgive yourself, ask for forgiveness, and move on. Learn how to go make new friends. You're being attached to things that you have no control over. As we learn, you have to learn certain skills to make your life easier. Like you have to learn how to make new friends. So if your old friends have ghosted you, that's not a nice thing, but hey man, we gotta move. Time is going. And here we have some people who have managed to overcome the anxiety using the faculty of reason, and of course a lot of other things. But just to go back to what I was teaching you about how the mind can make wrong impressions, this person finally went to the gym. Congratulations. Good for him. I hope he becomes the next Schwarzenegger. Maybe not, but you never know. Anyway, the person says that do not engage with anxiety. It's like a nasty pathological liar. That goes back to what I was saying. The mind receives impressions, and if it interprets them wrong, then it's going to have a tough time. If it interprets them right, it's going to have a good time. So this person has realized that his anxiety makes him interpret things wrong, which are normally normal things. So that is the faculty of reason, and I am happy for this person. Next patient. Finally, someone is graduating, is in a happy and stable relationship, and they do get better. They took 3 years just to overcome anxiety. Remember, we have so many problems. But you can see that with constant practice, day in, day out, we're going to become better. It's okay to fall off and come back, but we should always stay on track and not give up. This is a very good example. You see, it took 3 years. It doesn't come easy. 3 years just to overcome anxiety. Probably not even other fears, just anxiety. This one finally realized what Stoicism always teaches us. We suffer more in imagination than reality. Of course, when you're in a state of fear, this quote feels like, oh man, it's so hard. Trust me, I know. But we should keep practicing so that when we reach that state of fear again, we can think like this. Because when people are in a happy mood and things are going well, it's very easy for them to just say all of these quotes and all of this motivational stuff. But when you're in the grips of fortune, bad fortune, that's when the quotes come and you really need them. But the problem, it's hard to believe them at those times. Okay, this one, avoided a panic attack today. I like this one because they say that they avoided. So clearly we can see that the mind forms impressions. We need to learn how to interpret things correctly. If we interpret them wrong, we're going to have anxiety. So same thing with everything. It's because we do not have enough practice. If we practice enough and the right way, then we're going to interpret things right, and then we won't have anxiety. So here we have a success. Well, I hope you liked and enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and please comment whatever you think, because that really helps the channel grow. Check out the other videos on my channel. I hope you have a good day and I hope you have a happy ending. See you.